Hello, beautiful you. We are here today on this beautiful, beautiful day. And can we just take a moment of gratitude and acknowledge this time of actualizing, becoming, and transforming from where we were into the person that we actually are in our heart of hearts? Because today we're talking about self-acceptance. There's a lot of confusion and even pushback when it comes to the topic of self-acceptance because not a lot of people have a clear idea of exactly what it is. And what it boils down to is that self-acceptance has two main myths that often gets people confused. The first myth that I'm going to talk about is that to accept yourself means that you have to like everything about yourself. That is actually not true at all whatsoever. Because the simple fact is that you're not going to like everything about yourself. You're not going to like things like you're lazy or that you react very harshly to certain situations or that you get triggered easily. You're not going to like everything about yourself. And that's okay. What self-acceptance is coming to peace with yourself, making peace and developing a understanding friendship with the things about yourself that you kind of wish did not exist. Because overall, focusing on your flaws is only focusing on like a tiny, tiny part of your overall personality. If you think about who you are as this beautiful, vibrant, colorful tapestry with all these details and blendings of different shapes and colors, all these beautiful things, to have a beautiful tapestry, it can't all be one singular color. It can't be devoid of like shades of gray or shades of darkness or shades of light. Same thing comes to your personality. The beauty of who you are is made up of not just the good things about you, but also the things about you that might not be so great. And also following along with that theme, sometimes the things that you consider are flaws might not actually be flaws. Now, I am a big believer of balance. I'm also a big believer that everything has its equal opposite, good and bad, no matter what situation it is. And so creating self-acceptance means to create more inner peace with yourself because you're settling that war, that battle that you have that comes from you ridiculing and criticizing the things that you hate about yourself or the things that you were raised to believe are not good. The second myth is that self-acceptance means that you are no longer improving, that self-development, personal development completely stops because you're completely satisfied with yourself. It actually means the total opposite. You need self-acceptance to get out of your own way. Where you're constantly bullying yourself to change, picking yourself apart, you're creating weak spots in your own personal relationship with yourself, you're creating weak spots in your spirituality, in your mentality, that creates blockages that stop you from achieving and creating the life that you truly want and deserve. So when you start to accept yourself, what happens is that because you have a very good foundation and a strong relationship with yourself, it opens you up to really look at yourself honestly and look at certain negative traits honestly and say, in order for me to get from here to there are certain practices that I can do in order to create more positive behaviors and habits in my everyday life so that I can get from point A to point B. You are no longer bullying yourself into change based on someone else's expectations, based on societal pressures. You are changing from a place of love and authenticity in a way that is true to you and actually speaks to your own desires and to your own fullest expression of who you truly are deep down inside. Which is why when it comes to self-acceptance, it's very important to build that in order to be able to reach higher heights with your life and achieve a higher level of happiness and inner peace that can self-sustain for the rest of your life. What does it look like when you don't accept yourself? The first one is very easy. You constantly compare yourself to others. Comparing yourself on Instagram, comparing yourself to other people in your life, people on TV, because you don't feel like what you have is enough, because you don't feel like you yourself are already enough. How else it looks like is you are much more reactive to negative situations, pressures, and conflict. And the reason for that is when you don't accept yourself, there is a constant, like I said, there's a constant battle that's happening within you. You're constantly ridiculing yourself, creating dissatisfaction within yourself. And whatever happens in here, it happens outside of you as well. And so you become a lot more sensitive to when people give you any sort of negative feedback, even if it's not direct, even if it's not intended to come off as negative feedback. When you have a healthy level of self-acceptance with yourself, what happens is that there is a sense of calm and ease, a nice gentle current within you where you have a lot more confidence. You understand that you are not in complete control of life and its circumstances, and you're okay with that. You give yourself the space and the room to flow with life rather than battling, resisting, and fighting against it. So when conflicts start to happen, you operate from a place that has calmer waters, a calmer understanding of what's happening. And not only that, but then you also are able to see the situation a little bit more clearly because you also begin to understand that once you accept yourself, you can accept other people. Once you can accept your flaws and your differences, you can accept that in other people as well, which is very important in any relationship you have. Being able to understand that the person that's sitting across from you that doesn't agree with you is just simply different. And so how can you take your differences and compromise and come into a nice middle ground where the both of you can be satisfied with the outcome? Lack of self-acceptance also shows up in lack of boundaries, overthinking, perfectionism, and not believing you are enough. Now, I lump all these things together because they're essentially coming from the exact same place. That place of lack, that place where you feel like you need to earn love, that you need to earn acceptance, that you yourself are not good enough right now, and that you need to do all these things in order to make yourself good enough. The thing about that is that you're constantly chasing something that doesn't actually exist. Self-acceptance is very important in this area too, because it teaches you that where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. The lessons that you are learning, that you have gained, come at the exact time that it needs to. And all you have to do is just be present in the moment, listen to the moment, take the lessons you need to learn so that you can move forward into a better place. Rather than constantly, again, bullying yourself and forcing yourself into fitting into a box that you're not meant to fit into. Now, what does it look like when you do accept yourself? First thing is that you become unshakable and mentally much more strong, because now that you have accepted yourself, what others have to say, they don't hold as much weight. You're able to take constructive feedback much more easily. And even taking non-constructive feedback, you're able to find the construction within it. And you're also able to gauge for yourself whether or not that feedback is even relevant or necessary for you to absorb. You care more about your own opinion because you realize that your own opinion actually is what factors in the most on how to create your own life. A lot of times we think other people know better for us, like for example, our parents. A lot of times because we're such people pleasers, we have the tendency to give our power up to other people just to make others happy. When you build a foundation of self-acceptance within yourself, then you realize that you can actually stand on your own. You harness your own power through that, and you don't give it away to other people just to satisfy their needs. You satisfy your own needs. You acknowledge yourself, and from there, you're able to give in a more abundant, more loving, and authentic way. Which leads into the next part. You live much more authentically because whatever change comes from that point forward comes because it's best for you. You know that it's best for you. You become in line with your instincts, with your intuition, which gives you the messages that you need to know. How can I get from here to my highest, most expressive self? I touched on this part a little bit too, but when you accept yourself, you're no longer trying to please other people. If you have been, a historical doormat like I was, or just someone who was afraid of opposing or disagreeing with anybody. You know that feeling of you just simply getting smaller every time you do it. And it doesn't feel good, does it? When you start to accept yourself, you allow yourself to expand. You allow yourself to stand up, speak out against the things that you don't agree with, speak out against disrespect. You're able to draw the boundaries that you need in order to create the healthy relationships you need in your life. And not only that, but you attract the right people into your life too. Because at the end of the day, we can't please everybody. We're not meant to. We're meant to be here to fully express who we are in the most complete and authentic way. And that does not come with pleasing everybody. Because once again, it comes back to balance. Sometimes you need a little bit of conflict in order for you to know which direction you need to go, in order for you to learn and open up your mind. And so that is one of the reasons why it's very important to accept yourself and learning not to please everyone around you. Because the fact is that you are perfect as you are right now, in this body, in this moment of time. All you need is to create that sense of gratitude for yourself, that sense of embodiment and ownership of who you are, so that you can fully express yourself and give your natural gifts to the world and to the people around you, and build a community that surrounds you to help you also fulfill that purpose beyond just you. All in all, life is way too short to pick yourself apart. Life is way too short to be unhappy with yourself when you can in fact be happy with yourself. The fact is that your mind, it doesn't really differentiate between what exactly you are picking on. It just knows that you are picking on it, and that there is a level of unhappiness within you. That's all it really knows. So what it is that you are picking on and criticizing and judging actually doesn't hold any weight. It doesn't actually matter. Rather than focusing on all the flaws that you don't like about yourself, you should be focusing on all the great things about yourself. That way, it builds up, it expands, it gets stronger, it gets brighter, because that is where your attention is going. All the flaws, they start to heal when you start to focus on the great things about yourself and learn how to accept the things that you don't like about yourself. Those wounds, they get to mend. You become a lot more productive. You become a lot more active and energetic. There's so much good that comes from self-acceptance. So that being said, let's go into the exercises for today. And again, I recommend that you continue practicing these practices over time, because this isn't something that you solve in just one day. It's not something that you solve in just 1 week. It's something that it's going to take some time to do in order for you to get from where you are now to where you want to be. So the first exercise is in your gratitude journal. I want you to write down certain things that you're grateful for about who you are, about your personality, and where your personality takes you in terms of the experiences in your life. You can even go a little bit deeper and talk about what you're grateful for when it comes to your flaws. And you can use this on any flaw, but finding something good in that will help heal that flaw. It doesn't mean that you justify it. It doesn't mean that it makes it okay, especially if it's a very detrimental flaw that harms a lot of people, not just yourself. But it gives you a little bit more clarity and creates a little bit more forgiveness, so that you don't judge and harshly hurt yourself over the fact that you just have this one thing. The second exercise is to observe and change your inner dialogue. So a lot of times, especially if you're like me, I was a heavy overthinker, and I came basically prepared with a whole Bible of what is wrong with me. There was a time in my life where I legit could have given you a nonstop list of everything that was wrong with me. And I felt like that was something that I needed to have for some reason. I think it had a combination of the need to feel like I need to please other people, to apologize for who I was, to apologize and protect myself against, things like jealousy or hate. I'm now at the point where, because I've practiced self-acceptance so much that I don't have that list anymore. I can't actually, I mean, I can still give you a good list of flaws that I have, but it's not in the same form that it was before because I've made peace and became friends with the fact that I am a whole, complex, and complicated person. And without these flaws, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be able to have the things that I have in my life right now. So I want you to pay attention to how you are speaking to yourself. Step away from being in your thoughts completely and step out and become the observer, the witness of your thoughts and that dialogue. Take stock about how you are talking to yourself, how you are judging yourself, how you're criticizing yourself, and how that's actually making you feel. Now, turn it around and think about how, if you were to speak to somebody else that way, how would that person feel? What kind of reaction would you get from it? And is it okay that you are talking to yourself this way? The second part of this exercise is once you are done observing yourself, change the dialogue. Change the dialogue into something that is more loving. Go back to yesterday's or day 3's exercise where we talk about practicing ahimsa and satya, truthfulness in a non-violent, non-harmful way. You want to practice as much compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and love, especially when it comes to yourself. And so change the dialogue in order for you to be able to put yourself in a more supportive position where you can actually hold yourself and say, you know, it's okay. It's okay that you are not perfect. It is okay that you don't like certain things about yourself. It's not the important thing here. The important thing is that you yourself start to teach yourself how to be kinder. This last one is for those really, really bad days where you just can't get out of your head, where like gratitude is just not coming to you, and no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to reach for anything. It's for those days for when you just can't stop hating yourself, if you ever have those days. What you need is a piece of paper, a pen, a lighter or matches, and a tin of some sort, a tin or a clay pot, something that, you know, that won't burst into flames the second it touches a flame. Also water nearby. That's also very important, just for precautionary reasons. Okay, so what I want you to do is that I want you to go outside. I want you to take your paper and pen with you, and on your paper and pen, I want you to regurgitate everything that's on your mind, every nasty, dark, painful thing that is just going rampant in your mind. I want you to write it all down. If you need to go really dark, go really dark. If you need to exaggerate the negative feelings, exaggerate it. The reason why we want to do that is because we want to squeeze out every single emotion, negative thought, every single bit of pain out of your body and put it down on paper. Go as dark and deep as you need to. Then from there, I want you to take your clay pot, tin, whatever it is, set it in front of you. Make sure you have some water on the side just in case. And then I want you to take your lighter and bring the flame to that piece of paper, or papers, depending on how long it goes. From there, as you're holding it, I want you to quietly say to yourself, you can say it out loud, you can say it quietly into your mind, thank you for showing me where I need to heal. Place it in the jar and say, I release you. That's it. Just a little ritual that you can do on the days that are especially bad. Get it out of your system, all of it, as much as possible. Then let it go. Acknowledge it, notice where you need to heal, and then let it go. Life is too short to hate ourselves for the rest of it. And what we often forget, or what we probably haven't been taught, is that you don't need a reason to be loved. You don't need to earn love. You don't have to fight for approval, because you yourself are already love. You already have it within you. You are not incomplete, you're not broken, you're not missing anything. You're already perfect and whole where you are right now sitting in front of this video. And self-acceptance is going to help you acknowledge that and see that and help kind of break you open so that you can receive more goodness into your life. Well, that is today's video. So let me know if you have any questions or if you need some additional advice on anything. Don't forget to join the Facebook group, and I will see you tomorrow.